In the last lesson, we used a JSON file that we created locally in order to get the data for our quiz project. So we're going to make some updates to it and use a Google Sheet, output the sheet content as JSON, and then pick that up from our web application. If you do have a Google account, you can log into your Google account, go over to the Drive, create a new sheet. So within the Drive option, just create a brand new sheet. And we're going to use this sheet as our quiz data. So we need to have headers. So we'll have the questions, or this can just be single question, and have the correct answer, and then just the options. So we'll iterate through all of the options. So we can have option number 1 and possibility of up to 6 different options. So this is our basic structure that we're going to use for the sheet content. And let's populate some content into there. So using the same questions that we had within our other. And the correct answer was blue. And then within the options, we'll have some different color values. And then purple. And the ones that we can just leave some blank as we're iterating through and we're building the JavaScript object from the sheet data, then we can account for the blank areas. So let's add in the other 2 questions. And the correct answer. And I'll just use these values. Save a little bit of time there. And of course, you can just change these options to whatever color or whatever options that you want. So the correct one is going to be yellow, and let's update red to be green. And also let's add in another option in this one so that they don't all have the exact same options, so we can have an account for more of the dynamic capability of the sheet data. So now that we've got the sheet object, we want to share the sheet data and be able to pick up the sheet information. So this can be done by using the file from the top menu and then publishing to the web. So you have an option to create a link of the entire document or just the sheet, and you can set it up and you can create it as a web page. So hit the publish option, and then there's also some published content and settings. So once you publish it, it provides you a web URL, and you can use that web URL to see the sheet data. So this isn't within the JSON format, so we need to select the sheet ID. And every Google Sheet is going to have a unique ID. The easiest way to grab it is from the web URL. So in this case, mine is 1h2. So it's just up here in the top. When you do the /d/ and /edit, all of those characters in there are going to be the sheet ID. So going back into the JavaScript application, and let's go ahead and we'll create app 6. And create a brand new file calling it app6, and then this is where we can track the connection to the sheet data, the JSON sheet data. So save it as app6.js, and let's add in the variables. So that's tracking the sheet object. So I just copied and pasted whatever the current sheet object was. I'll make this a little bit smaller so it's easier to read and see. And there is a specific URL that you can use to output it as JSON. So I'm going to copy and paste it, and this is rather long. So the URL will be http spreadsheetsgoogle.com feeds list, and then this is where we use the ID 1, which indicates the first sheet, public values alt JSON. And what we can do is we can console log out the URL. So going into the web application, there's our URL. So if you click that, you get this JSON object. So this is going to be the final URL that we're outputting to. So again, very long web URL. So basically https:// ://spreadsheets.google.com/feeds/list. That's where we get the ID, and we're dynamically updating it. So in case we do change sheets, we can easily change the sheet contents. We've got the one public values alt JSON. So that puts out all of the sheet content within a JSON format. So you can see some of the questions there, the options, some of the options are blank. So when we construct our JavaScript object, and we want to make it the same as what we were using in the previous lesson, so we can really easily bring that in instead of using the JSON object. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to make a fetch request to this JSON object, and then start creating and constructing the JavaScript object that we need for our application to run, all using JavaScript and coming from the Google Sheet data, live from the Google Sheet data. So let's close off some of these tabs. And so now it's up to you. Go ahead, create your own sheet and share your sheet feed as a JSON, and then just log out the URL, and you can click the URL from the console to make sure that you do have a JSON feed of your sheet data. And you should see something similar to what I see. The task for this lesson is to create a Google Sheet, populate some data into the Google Sheet. Then once you've added in some data, go to File, Publish to the Web, Sheet, and select Publish. Hit the Publish button, and that will publish the document to the web. You can check it out and make sure that it is published to the web with the URL that's within the Publish to the Web pop-up window. And then go back into the sheet, select the ID from the web URL, and you're going to see that you've got a unique ID at the top of when you've got your sheet open. So copy that ID, and then also copy the URL, the spreadsheets.google.com/feeds/lists with the ID value, and output it as JSON. Double check that you can see the JSON object within your web browser, and you're going to be ready to move on to the next lesson, where we're going to make and connect to that JSON data and then construct our JavaScript object to use within the quiz application. So that's all still coming up next.